This is a third of my 4K review videos of movies relating to the Apollo moonshots. This is Ron Howard's 1995 classic Apollo 13, and I think I've saved the best for last. This film came out in 1995 and I well remember going to the cinema to see this, and indeed shortly after its cinema release on Super 8 we got a trailer release, and unfortunately it's not a long trailer taking up a whole 600-foot reel, but it's the second trailer I've put on this reel of trailers which I screen quite regularly. I've got a lot of these sort of 600-foot reels and 400-foot reels of trailers on, and it really is quite special to have that little souvenir on Super 8. But around the same time as the Super 8 trailer release, we got the PAL Laserdisc release. Not a gatefold unfortunately, but still rather special to have it. Tom Hanks was cast in the role as Apollo 13 Commander Jim Lovell, ahead of him winning the Oscar for his performance in the film Philadelphia, and then all of a sudden he was taken seriously as a dramatic actor. And there was a wonderful cast alongside Tom Hanks. We had Gary Sinise, Kevin Bacon, Bill Paxton, Ed Harris, and a whole host of others. This was one of the strengths of this film, and it really made it stand out from other space films that had gone before it. So having had the Laserdisc for so many years, I didn't really feel the need to purchase the DVD or the Blu-ray. But when a 4K disc came out, I sort of put it on the list, and in our last visit to HMV, we finally picked it up. And there's one commentary track on here that may have been available on previous releases, I don't know, but it's a commentary track with Jim and Marilyn Lovell. And I haven't listened to it all yet, but it really does give an insight into the accuracy of the making of this film. They point out where things were artistic license, which don't appear to be many, but Jim Lovell in particular being able to point out what is accurate and how they really did do the things in space really is quite an education and one of the most informative and interesting pieces I've seen on the Apollo moon landings. Not that this one actually landed on the moon, but on the Apollo moonshots of anything that I've ever seen. And it really is quite a testimony to the efforts that the filmmakers went to portray this film accurately. Now there's one sequence, well, it's when Marilyn Lovell, played by Kathleen Quinlan, goes to the launch to see the Saturn V blast off at Cape Canaveral. And she's wearing a dress that is apparently an exact replica of the dress Marilyn Lovell wore to that launch. And in fact, the wig she's wearing is a replica of Marilyn's hairstyle on that day. And there's one quick cut that you see from distance. If you can pick out Kathleen Quinlan in that, you look at the lady just in front of her, and it is in fact Marilyn Lovell. It seems that all these moonshot films have a wonderful score on them. This one's no exception. I'm sure many of you know it because it was done by the great James Horner, and how sad we no longer have him with us. But it's another fabulous James Horner score, and it succeeds in raising the emotional impact of the film. The filmmakers had use of the NASA Zero-G aeroplane, and they went up in that to get the weightless shots, and that's why they look so real. There doesn't appear to be anything digital in those sequences, because normally you can tell that somewhere there's cables holding the actors because they're not moving quite right, but in this they are moving right, and that's because they were up in that Zero-G aircraft, and that gave them 22 seconds at a time to get those shots before the weight came back and they came crashing down to the floor. Having said that, there are a couple of green screen shots that aren't entirely convincing, and there are one or two scenes where the low light levels means there is increased film grain, but overall it is a first-class film-to-video transfer. The colour of the print is exceptional, and the density gives the whole thing a really filmic look. So both the Blu-ray and the 4K are exceptional, but it's the HDR that gives the 4K the edge once again. The sound is DTS-X and the aspect ratio is 2.40 to 1. It had a budget of $52 million and it grossed at the worldwide box office $355 million, so a massive success. I've never enjoyed this film so much. I always regarded it as a great film, but now I think it's even better than that. Just like me, it's improved with age. Now, I think this is the best of the 3 films I've reviewed in this series, the Moonshot films, but I think all 3 of them are to be recommended. But if I had to choose one, I'd say it's Apollo 13. So any of you that have had a look at all 3, let me know what you think. Otherwise, it's time to wrap things up. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and perhaps consider subscribing so I'll be encouraged to create even more content like this again in the future. Until the next video, bye bye for now.